Hello everybody, my name is 𝐒𝐋𝐒. This is how you use the funnel strat. I'm going to be showing you the specifics such as what to do, when to do it. I'm going to be showing you the runes, and in the very end of the video, I'm going to be telling you the best way to counter it. The funnel strat, simply put, is a hyper carry champion plus an Ardent support champion. To give you examples of this, Master Yi jungle, Twitch jungle, or 𝐒𝐻𝐂 jungle, combined with something like a Lulu Ardent, Soraka Ardent, Janna Ardent, or a Taric Ardent, and on occasion you will see some Zilean as well. The funnel strategy guarantees that your carry gets insanely fed and has somebody constantly peeling for them, ensuring that you will win fights and hard carry the game by allowing your carry to completely farm your mid lane and take all the jungle camps as well. No need to worry though, because support items are extremely cheap. Buying an initial support gold item, the Ardent player will still be able to buy the items that they need in a timely manner. The funnel strat overwhelms most opponents since they have no idea how to deal with it, and the raw power of it is difficult to deal with even if you know how to handle it properly. Another huge perk of the funnel strat is it typically allows you to starve the enemy jungler out of both scuttle crabs, thus putting them very far behind. And even though you're not going to be influencing your other lanes in the early game, it will also give those laners vision with the scuttle crab to help them survive ganks. Before I show you all the tips, tricks, and decision making behind funneling and everything like that, you need to know the runes and items. Otherwise, you're going to be putting yourself at a huge disadvantage. If you are not interested in the items or runes, go ahead and just skip to the 8-minute 35-second mark of the video. These are Twitch's proper items for funneling strat. Machete, refillable, and warding totem, obviously. Then we have our core items. We're going to be rushing Blood Razor, always. Second, we're going to be going for our Berserker Greaves. And then at this point, we have a crossroads. If we are not wildly far ahead, then we will normally be going for a Bork. Now, if we are far ahead, if the funneling has been going well, we can go for a Runons into IE. Otherwise, we'll be going Bork and the Runons into IE. Then, after you have these 5 items, you have an optional choice. If the enemy team has a lot of point-and-click CC and they keep hitting you, you're going to want to get a quick Silver Sash. If you just need more damage and lifesteal, Bloodthirster, Guardian Angel for attack damage and armor. The Static Shiv and Phantom Dancer create pretty much the same result. If you guys are AD heavy, I'd probably go for the Static Shiv for the extra magic damage that it gives. Essence Reaver, I've had mixed results. Lord Dominic's Regard if your team is full AD, and Mortal Reminder if the enemy team has 2 or more heavy heal champions. And then finally, if the enemy team is full AD, going Ninja Tabbies is still a really good choice. For Master Yi starting items, we have Hunter's Machete, refillable, and Warding Totem. And then for Master Yi's core item, we have the Blood Razor, Tabbies, Rage Blade, and Titanic Hydra. You can swap out your Tabbies for Merc Treads instead if the enemy team is mostly AP. However, 9 times out of 10, Tabbies are the way to go. With how much attack speed you'll have with these items and when you're on your ultimate, plus with the Lulu's attack speed boost with the Ardent / attack speed pump on her E, you're going to be maxing out your attack speed anyways, which makes Berserker Graves a little bit obsolete. So this is your core on the Master Yi funnel strat. And then these are your optional items. You get to pick 2 of them. I almost always go for Sterix because it's so gosh darn strong. And then if the enemy team is almost all AD and auto attack base, I usually like to get a Frozen Heart for the cooldown reduction, the armor it gives, and the attack speed aura it gives you is huge since you're melee and you're going to be on all the enemies at once. It's going to help to keep you alive for a long time. If the enemy team is mostly AP with 4 or more AP champions, I'll usually get a Ma, or if they have 2 or more really fed AP champs, that can also justify getting a Ma at this point. And if the enemy team has a lot of AP, sometimes going Wit End is also a decent choice. The best runes for the Master Yi funnel is Conquer, Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. For your secondary tree, you're going to want to go Ravenous Hunter, Sudden Impact. And then for the last 3 runes, go the attack speed, adaptive force, and armor. This is your best bang for your buck. Back when Dark Harvest was overwhelmingly overpowered, I would go for Dark Harvest as my main one, but since it has been nerfed a lot, it's not really worth it anymore, and you're just a lot better off going for a Conqueror. I've seen a lot of funnel Master Yis opt for Ravenous Hunter because of the true damage he gets on his E combined with a Rage Blade gives him insane healing. However, I have also seen other Master Yis go for Relentless Hunter. Me personally, I strongly believe Ravenous Hunter is a lot stronger since on the funnel strat, you're not going to be roaming around the map and ganking a lot of lanes necessarily. You're going to be primarily focused in one spot on the map. For funnel Twitch's runes, this is what I recommend: going Lethal Tempo, Triumph, Alacrity, 𝐒𝐿 for your secondary tree, going Absolute Focus, Water Walking, and for your 3 runes, the 9 attack speed, the 10 adaptive force, and 5 armor. If you are not good at jungle Twitch, I would highly recommend just doing the 𝐒 funnel strat instead. It is much easier, and Mastery has a lot less counters than Twitch has. If you do insist on playing jungle Twitch, but you're not comfortable with Lethal Tempo or moving and shooting extremely quickly, I would highly recommend practicing it in the practice tool, or instead just going for press the attack. It is still a great option. You can make a lot happen with it, but ultimately the strongest rune for funnel Twitch is and always will be Lethal Tempo. You don't have to go for Absolute Focus and Water Walking on jungle Twitch. You can always go for Sudden Impact and Relentless Hunter instead. I personally don't like this because with Twitch jungle, I feel like he has a lot of Scuttle Crab influence, and having the extra movement speed from Water Walking and extra damage from Absolute Focus, I feel it gives you a lot more stats than Sudden Impact and Relentless Hunter do, since Relentless Hunter takes time to stack off of unique champion kills, and Sudden Impact really doesn't do that much early in the game before you have a lot of AD. So I personally think this is the better choice. For the Ardent Slave, you have 2 main rune page choices. The first one is with Airy and Inspiration. Going Airy is your keystone, Mana Flow Band, Transcendence, and Water Walking. Then down the inspiration tree, going for Magical Footwear, Cosmic Insight, and going Adaptive Force with Armor. This is the most standard Ardent Slave rune page you will find. Personally, the one I prefer the most for hard carrying is this one. Going Glacial Augment, Magical Footwear, Biscuit Delivery, and Cosmic Insight. The most important thing here is the Glacial Augment. It gives you such a fat slow. It gives you a 30 to 40% slow for 2 whole seconds on range champs, which is insane. Really good for invades and really good for forcing kills and forcing flashes early on. I like it a lot. I prefer my Ardent supports take it whenever they're ranged. For your items as an Ardent Slave, most of the time you're going to want to start Ancient Coin, 2 health potions, and a warding totem. And when I say Ardent Slave, I'm mainly referring to Lulu, Janna, and Soraka. These are the main supports that you're going to be using funnel strat with. Using Taric is a lot less common now since Taric has been nerfed so much since the funneling strat reached its peak performance. On your first back, you're going to want to pick up a Nomad's Medallion. It's going to give you a lot of stats for a reasonable price, and it's also going to be giving you more gold and mana on the coin pickups. If you have used both of your health potions, go ahead and pick up a refillable as well. Then you're going to be building straight for Ardent Sensor. This is by far the most important power spike for the Ardent Slave. Once they have Ardent Sensor, you can force a lot more plays, and enemies just can't compete because of how cheap and overpowered the item is. By the time you get Ardent Sensor, you really should have your free boots by now and upgrade them into boots of mobility. Then you're going to be going for a Zeke's Convergence. And then finally, you're going to be getting a Redemption. Then we have some optional items. We have Athene's Unholy Grail. It's good against AP matchups. Then we have 𝐒𝐿𝐻 if you're carry. If your funnel carry keeps getting CC'd, pick up a 𝐒𝐿𝐻. If the enemy team has something like a Zed or Talon, and if you don't want to waste ult on yourself, I'd recommend getting a Zhonya's. It can give you a lot of artificial tankiness. If the enemy team are all 5 AD, go for Tabbies. And if the enemy team is 4 or more AP, go for Merc Treads. The best way to build yourself a lead in funneling is typically to invade the enemy's opposite side jungle. So if you're on the bottom side of the map, you'll be invading their red buff. If you're on the top side of the map, you'll be invading their blue buff. This works really great if your support goes Glacial Augment. If your Ardent Slave is going Airy, this isn't nearly as strong and I don't necessarily recommend it. However, it is still possible. You want to get to the red buff at exactly 130. That way, if they are on it, you can just wait in the bush and kill both of them. Or if someone is waiting in a bush, you can usually get past them. In this case, Ornn was waiting in the front bush, so he really got in the way. No matter though, we can still easily take the red buff since he's low on health now. If Yasuo shows up or if Wukong were to show up right now, we could easily 2v2 them. As he flashes away, Lulu hits him with the Glacial Augment, which easily lets me follow up on him. And then we can pick up the red buff and go top lane. Funneling is all about time management. Since we did kill Ornn and he won't be top wave to shove the minions very soon, we can go pick up the Scuttle Crab.
The only reason why we're going for the Scuttle Crab is since we fought him, it's going to be up by now. Let's say no one contested us at red buff. We would probably next do golems into top lane or raptors into top lane. You can use the funnel strat mid or top lane. If you are going to be using it top lane like we are here, I would highly recommend you cheese, since you will have less access to the jungle camps from the top lane, as playing the funnel strat in the mid lane is better as a whole, since you gain more access to more camps and to both Scuttle Crabs. When shoving the wave with your support, try to save your smite for the cannon minion. It'll help you take it a lot faster. Here I use it a little bit too late, so we definitely could have pushed that wave faster. Whenever you guys are taking the waves, you want to try to push them into the turret as fast as possible so you can go do jungle camps. In this case, we had a wave plus a cannon wave. This will allow us to do a minimum of 2 camps. If you're just shoving in a normal wave, just 6 minions, that will usually only allow you to do 1 monster camp if the enemy has good wave clear or if they're trying to clear the wave. In this case, 𝐒𝐿 isn't really trying to clear the wave and we shoved a massive one into him. So this gives us a lot of time to take the camps, and we have another wave that's about to get there. So we have easily enough time to do blue buff, Gromp, and wolves. Whenever you go into your jungle, you need to be mindful of how big the wave you push into the enemy's turret is. Not only that, but how fast they are clearing it. We kept an eye on 𝐒𝐿 while he was clearing the wave, so we knew we could get there in a reasonable time and catch the wave like we did here. So we didn't really miss any CS, and Lulu will still be getting a lot of gold and experience this way. Now that we have the wave shoved in once again, it's a cannon wave, and we have another wave at our turret, so we should have plenty of time to pick up golems and raptors. This is potentially dangerous, but we do see Wukong near my jungle, so we know there's really no chance of them being able to collapse on us at this point. I look at top lane before I back and see 𝐒𝐿 is out of mana and can't push it very quickly, so this is a great time to back, get some items. I nearly already have a Blood Razor, which is Master Yi's power spike, and then Rage Blade is his main power spike. Once Lulu gets her Ardent Sensor, that's going to be her main power spike. At this point, me and her both have so much gold that we could easily 2v1 𝐒𝐿, and I'm going to show you guys how you will kill your laner in lane's mastery. As the funnel carry, you should hit level 6 before your laner has hit level 6. This is going to be your main way of killing them, plus you should have a big gold advantage, so just make sure you spent it. Whenever you go to dive them, try to get them to waste as much CC as possible before you actually attack them. That way you don't get caught up in a CC chain and take unneeded extra turret damage. In this case, Lulu actually attacks way too soon and takes 2 turret shots before I hardly even start attacking 𝐒𝐿. This was simply bad communication. Ideally, I would have attacked 𝐒𝐿 first, taken 1 turret shot, then reset aggro with my Q, or perhaps taken 2 turret shots, saving my Q to dodge some of his damage or CC. In this case, since he'd already blown his CC, I didn't really have to think about using my Q to dodge any of his spells. I could just use my Q better to dodge a turret shot and saving it for the right moment. Having Master Yi tank turret initially is better since he can instantly reset turret aggro with his Q, assuming that your Ardent support hits the enemy champion while you are in your Q. That way the turret will aggro them. I'll show you guys the situation one more time. You're going to want to shove wave. Assuming you have a gold advantage or heavy level advantage, you can proceed with the dive. Best whenever Master Yi is level 6. You can do it sooner though if you're playing against a squishy target or if they are very low on HP. I get 𝐒𝐿 to waste some spells before I start attacking him, and I start tearing into him. Lulu took initial tower damage, which is fine as long as she doesn't take more than 2 shots, because I am going to be swapping aggro with my Q. 𝐒𝐿 lands a great knockup that I don't dodge with my Q. However, I do dodge the incoming turret shot, so I still do negate a lot of the damage. I come out, I kill 𝐒𝐿. Me and Lulu both tanked several turret shots, and then at the end of it, we're both pretty much full HP. Since I dodged a turret shot, she had shield. It looks like we didn't even tank at this point. If you do juggle the turret aggro properly, you can both get out of the situation most of the time with at least half HP each. Doing the juggle turret dive on Master Yi and Ardent support is a lot easier if the target is squishy or already low on HP. Since this is a Yasuo, it's going to be very easy. We just shove and wave. I already have my Conqueror proc. I'm going to hit it on turret to keep it proc. If the enemy laner chooses to stay under their turret, unless they receive immediate assistance from their jungler who has CC, they will die. In this case, Yasuo foolishly dashes forward thinking he can fight us. I activate my ultimate and my E. Lulu does a great job knocking him out with her ult and then CC chaining him with her polymorph immediately afterwards. This does take some timing on Lulu's part since her polymorph has a short travel time to where you will actually be pressing polymorph before the knockup on your ult has ended. I take 1 turret shot, and then as the second turret shot is coming down, I am going to dodge it. I swapped the aggro, and now Lulu is taking 1 turret shot, and then I believe she takes a second one here because she stands still because she wasn't sure
if it was hitting me at this point for some reason. With the Master Yi funnel, the only other way you're going to be able to kill a champion is if you're in an area that you know they want to go to. Like, let's say they're coming back to turret and you're waiting in a bush, or if you're waiting in a bush next to a dragon that is up, or next to Baron. That's really only the other way to get a kill, because Master Yi can't go invisible and he's melee. The enemies essentially have to stand still, or they have to be walking to you for you to get a kill. That is why many people will argue that Twitch is the stronger funnel strat. Since Twitch can go invisible, he can force more situations. The downside of the Twitch funnel strat is more things counter it. Things like Jax and Yasuo and Nocturne are hard counters. Things that don't necessarily counter Yi counter Twitch really hard. The only thing that you have to make sure you ban on Master Yi is really just Jax. On Twitch, you have to ban Yasuo, Jax, and then there's a lot of other things that can still give him trouble. Late game on the Yi funnel, you need to be patient with your engages. Here I see Ornn over the wall, so I know he can't really affect me while I'm chasing down Leona. What I'm trying to do right now is to get some Rage Blade stacks, stack my Conqueror, and blow Leona CC. Leona here does the worst possible thing and turns around before her team is ready and uses her CC on me. Now when I go in, she has no way to stop me and I can just pop off and kill her whole team. If I chased Leona there and she didn't turn around and just kept running towards her team, I would have completely backed off, because if I did go in on her, she could have just stunned me out and I would have died. This is a perfect example of abusing people in low and mid elo, because they don't understand that once you use your CC, if you don't time it perfectly on Yi, you're going to get your whole team killed. The best thing she could have done, funny enough, was to simply just run. That situation could have gone very poorly. If her whole team happened to be in the bush, I would have died. I took a calculated risk based off of the information of her team recalling beforehand, so I figured they wouldn't all be tightly clumped together. Late game on the Master Yi funnel, hands down the best way and the safest way to win team fights with just you and your funnel partner is to let the enemies come to you. In this case, our bot lane gets caught out and dies mid lane, so we're forcing a Baron. If this isn't warded, we'll take the Baron. If you pay attention to the minimap though, it's very obvious that the enemy team is coming. It is pivotal before you try to fight the whole enemy team with just you and your Ardent support that you have your Conqueror fully procced and you have your Rage Blade fully procced. Try to keep tabs of this. It'll be right above your abilities. You should see your Conqueror resetting, and you should also see your Rage Blade at 6 stacks. This will ensure that you kill the enemies as fast as possible. It'll also make the true damage on your E insane, allowing you to essentially one-shot tanks even if they have full stacked armor. Your Conqueror is on a 4-second window before it resets whenever you're out of combat, and your Rage Blade is on a 6-second window. So if you're not attacking anything and you're about to fight, you need to try to get back in combat as soon as possible to keep your Rage Blade and Conqueror active. I managed to keep my Conqueror and Rage Blade up in this fight, which allows me to completely Shrek their whole team. I'll break this down in slow motion so you can get a better idea of what's happening. The enemies know we're on Baron, but they're not quite sure how low it is, so they run out stringed out, and I can see that. So I run at Yasuo with my Conqueror up, with my Rage Blade up, activate my ultimate and E, run him down. I start hacking and slashing everything. Lulu gets a great ultimate, knocking them up. I use my Q to dodge as much damage as possible when they all start throwing out spells. I'm super tanky with my pretty much full build. My Stare goes off, still on my true damage, Rage Blade, Conqueror, and I kill pretty much everything at once. They have really no way of stopping me since they fought me when my Rage Blade and Conqueror were both up. This is why the funnel strat on Master Yi is so powerful. He is extremely item reliant, and once he gets those items, if you're playing him properly, and if your Ardent support is using their abilities properly, there's really no counterplay. The only way you can lose with the Master Yi funnel in the late game is if you're the one making the big mistakes. If the enemy team is spread out, you don't have to wait until you already have Rage Blade and Conqueror stacks up. In this case, Leona was way out of position. She essentially ran up to me because she didn't know I was there. Since the rest of her team wasn't right on her, even though I didn't have my Rage Blade and Conqueror stacks up, I could go in with confidence knowing I'm not going to die. I can get those stacks up and wipe out her whole team. Now that we've covered the Master Yi funnel strat, let's go over the Twitch one. It's very similar in a lot of ways. There's just a few differences. I recommend starting it out the same way with an invade on the enemy's red buff if possible. If this isn't an option, I'd recommend Twitch just starting on his own red buff since it is very important that he at least gets a red buff. We are on the right side of the map to invade the enemy's red buff. It's going to be very strong invade since Lulu has Glacial Augment and we're both range. As long as we kite out the enemies, even if they're on it, we should be able to kill them with ease. If someone walks past or near your bush, let them get as close as possible before you start attacking. That way you have the longest time possible to kill them. Renekton starts running away. Lulu Glacial Augments him. After her Glacial Augment slow ends, she then exhausts him. I let Renekton flash the wall and then I E him. Whenever I say I let him, I knew he was going to be able to get to the wall in time and flash it as long as I didn't E. So I just held on to my E and kept running at him, and then he flashed the wall thinking he was going to get away, and then I killed him. People usually won't make this mistake once you're out diamond level and up, but before then, a lot of people will make this mistake. Normally, your Ardent support will follow you and help you, but the enemies warded it, cutting her off, and I just barely snuck by the ward before they laid it. That's why I ended up soloing the red buff. I wait to attack 𝐒𝐂𝐂 till she steps up a bit, and I also wait till the melee minions are past me. That way, I'm only really tanking the ranged minions and not all 6 of them at once. I take a lot of damage, but so does she. Now we're going to proceed to push the wave. I would have taken a lot less damage there, but Lulu started to Q. That way we can push the wave much faster, which is an issue when you play Twitch jungle because his wave clear isn't that great. Lulu should be helping me auto the wave right now. Instead, she's zoning. She should only be focused on really pushing the wave unless 𝐒𝐂𝐂 steps really far up, because me and Lulu are supposed to be taking full scuttle priority. Pushing the wave early, I cannot stress it enough, as the funnel strat is very important. That way you can secure both scuttle crabs and fuck over the enemy jungler. If you do not push the waves early, you are conceding 1 to both scuttle crabs. On the second and third enemy red buff spawn is when you should be fighting a lot on Twitch. You should have a massive gold advantage over the enemy since you've been funneling, and you should easily be able to 2v2 the enemy mid laner and jungler. This is Vi's third red buff spawn. She, of course, is coming to defend it, but since me and Lulu go there the very moment it spawned in and we're attacking it, we got it before they could get there. Me and Lulu are going to abuse the Mongol fighting strat. We are going to string out the enemies to make the battle easier on ourselves, keeping the enemies separated and disjointed. Vi and Orianna are chasing. We can see them on the minimap with the ward that we laid on the raptor bush. We don't want to fight them immediately because they're both together and they both have their gap closers. Vi with her dash and Orianna presumably with her flash. Vi gets vision, she wastes her dash. This is when I go in. She just lost half of her CC and a whole lot of damage. Now we can easily tear them apart, and we still have enough HP to potentially go top lane, farm golems, or shove mid. Red buff gives a lot of passive healing, so I should be full HP and not too long. We're going to shove out mid wave while their jungle and mid laner is dead, get as much health off the turret as possible, and now we can back off and farm her jungle or go bot lane and gank. Being in the enemy's jungle gives you a lot more options since you're already behind the enemy's laners. It lets you farm for free, and it sets up ganks much better. My ult is down and the enemies were full HP under turret, and we really didn't have a proper minion wave either. I only went for the gank since I saw Malphite's ult was up, which is a super easy engage. If we had a Soraka, I probably wouldn't have gone for this gank unless my ult was up because I would have needed the extra range. While the enemy bot lane spawns in, I'm going to take some more of their jungle, picking up their wolves and blue buff. My bot lane pushes up to their turret, allowing me and Lulu to come up behind the enemy bot lane, leaving them absolutely nowhere to run. And since my ultimate's up, diving becomes much easier on Twitch even when the enemies are full HP. Now that their bot lane is dead, we can shove turret for free. If Vi and Orianna show up, we can easily 4v2 them. In the mid game on Twitch, you're rarely going to be farming your own jungle. In this case, we're going to do a semi full clear on my jungle because my ult is down, Lulu's ult is down, and Malphite's ult just barely came up, so it would be fairly difficult to make a play while the enemy is grouped. After I finish these camps, I see Jhin is split pushing by himself, and the enemies are starting to spread out a little bit. I didn't realize they were doing dragon until they'd finally take it, so at this point I just go in for the fight since I know they are spread out. I can easily pick up some kills. I bork the Veigar and finish him off. Now that Veigar is dead, we can take more map pressure. Turning on the turret, if the enemies show up, we have Malphite ult and Lulu ult. Now that we've taken this turret, we can more easily go in the enemy's jungle to farm it or rotate them on the other side of the map. In this case, we find the enemies split up over here and we take them out. Now that they're dead, we're going to move on to another turret. We don't want to go back into our own jungle and farm. Every time we kill an enemy, we A, want to take an objective, whether it be Dragon Herald or a turret, or B, take their jungle if taking an objective isn't possible. In the late game as Twitch, in team fights when the enemies are grouped up, you want to try to get the drop on them so clear as much vision as possible and try to find them when they're spread out, either trying to get vision or trying to take an objective. After I pick off Teemo, the enemies get a pretty good CC chain onto me. They triple ult me and hit me with 3 different powerful CC abilities. It doesn't matter though, I ended the fight with nearly full HP because of my life steal and the amazing job my Lulu did peeling for me. Another viable option for late game team fighting on Twitch is to simply submarine, shove a wave down mid lane, go invisible, and run it down. There's likely to be 1 to 2 enemies who will try to kill your minion wave, and that's when you'll go in on them and win the game. A lot of you might be wondering, how do I counter the funnel strat? There's 2 main ways to counter the funnel strat. The first one has to do with your mid laner. You want your mid laner to pick someone who can easily shove waves and also farm from a distance. Melee mid laners are very bad against the funnel strat since they have to put themselves in harm's way to farm minions. They open themselves up into getting 2v1 every time they go to CS. You also want a mid laner that can shove waves very quickly. A perfect example of a ranged mid laner who can also hard shove waves is 𝐒𝐻𝐿. He can do it very effectively. This takes away the funneler's abilities to farm many camps after they push a wave, since 𝐒𝐻𝐿 can easily counter push, then dumping a minion wave into the funneler's turret, which forces the funnelers to stay mid as much as possible and makes it take much longer for the funnelers to take the mid laner's turret, which is important for the funnelers to be able to roam and gank other lanes. Another really good way to counter the funnel strat is to pick a jungler who can power farm like crazy. A perfect example of this would be Evelynn or Kayn. If your team needs AD, go Kayn. If your team needs AP, go Evelynn. The reason why these champions are both great to counter the funnel strat is whenever the funnelers are mid lane and pushing out the wave, Kayn or Evelynn can easily wipe out their whole jungle in a very short time. Kayn or Evelynn, just by power farming and not necessarily ganking, can easily hit level 6 at or before the time that the funnel carry hits level 6. Your only other option as a jungler is to pick something that can power gank and try to avoid the funnelers and get your other lanes ahead. This is a little bit more risky in my opinion, because if the funnelers get any kills in lane, they'll get really out of hand since they'll still have jungle to farm. This is why I much prefer a power farm jungler like Evelynn or Kayn, because they remove the jungle camps, which is essentially fuel for the funnel to get into full drive. If you take away jungle fuel, the only fuel they'll really get is off of kills, which just simply isn't enough. That is gonna wrap up this video. If you guys enjoyed it and you want to support the channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. My name is 𝐒𝐿𝐂𝐋𝐒. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.